America, it is time for us to do something that is bold. Something that can change our country for the better. The first time, they said it wasn't possible. But today, we know it is possible. This is something that the mainstream media and the Democratic Party has claimed to be wrong for the past 4 years. They have attacked us and our president relentlessly. They said that we were deplorable and irredeemable. They have claimed that if you are a part of the president's cabinet, you are not welcome anywhere. They have called us racist, while their nominee has told people that are African American that if you are confused on who to vote for in the 2020 election, then you aren't black. They have impeached the President of the United States. And when it was passed in the House of Representatives, instead of being sad, there was almost thunderous applause from the Democratic Party. This party has claimed to be on the right side of history and a part of the resistance. My question is, who are they resisting? The media that is behind them 100%? The celebrities that have to be on their side or they'll be called out as terrible people like Chris Pratt? The university professors that teach you leftist ideology and send you out like little SJW robots? Guess what? They are on your side too. Though it may seem that the world is against us, we need to understand that we cannot let this party win, or even come close to winning. Together, we must stop these radical leftists from trying to destroy our institutions, like the Supreme Court, the Senate, the Constitution, the rule of law by getting rid of police, and possibly the presidency. We cannot let this happen. This is why it is our time to speak out and to vote. Vote for Donald Trump. What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Dockery with the Dockery Docket. We're here with our very 47th episode of the Dockery Docket. I'm excited to be here, and I hope that you are excited to be here as well. If there's one thing that I've learned from this election cycle, it is that the left has completely lost their minds. They have claimed for the past 4 years that Donald Trump is a fascist that wants to completely destroy the country and tear up the Constitution, blah, 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 while their supporters, the Democratic supporters, go out into the street and smack people in the head that may or may not be wearing a Trump hat, and try to ban different speech that may be violent to them, which just means that it is not of the right opinion. The left has also claimed that the Republicans are trying to destroy American institutions, while the Democrats have already claimed that they will stack the Supreme Court if they win the election. And they will create new states so then the Democratic Party can have more senators, making it impossible for the Republicans to have a majority in the Senate ever again. The party is filled to the brim of people that want to raise taxes on everyone, which will in turn make prices go up. They want to get rid of the oil industry and want to create a Green New Deal, which will cost our country trillions and trillions of dollars, and could cause us to trust more in other countries to help us provide for energy, which means higher gas prices. These radicals should be nowhere near the White House, and sadly, this may be a possibility. Now, I know that all of these plans sound absolutely terrible, and they are, but I do not think that if Joe Biden happens to win this election that our country will be gone forever. As if Trump loses, I will be very, very upset, but at the same time, it is almost like your favorite football team losing a game. There is nothing that you can do about it, and you have to hope for the next game that they will play better. This is what I had to learn back in 2016, as we need to remember that our country has a list of checks and balances, which makes it so the president doesn't have 100% supreme control. Back in 2016, I remember walking my dog and thinking, well, Hillary's going to win. And if she does, I won't like it, but we have to take what we have and try and fight harder to beat her in the next round so she doesn't have a second term. So while I do believe that the left has absolutely lost their minds, I don't think that they will completely destroy the country. And I want to make it very, very clear right now that if Joe Biden happens to win this election, there will not be a video of me up on my YouTube page of me crying or screaming or yelling like these leftists have when President Trump won back in 2016. I won't do that to you guys. I think that's absolutely ridiculous and stupid because it's just a presidential election. In the next 4 years, you get to try again. Yes, it's disappointing, but at the same time, the cycle continues. But of course, I really, really, really want Donald Trump to win this election. So the main question for this episode is, can Donald Trump actually win this election? And the answer to that question is yes, but it will not be an easy feat for Donald Trump, as there are a lot of things that are against him right now. As we all understand that this election will be a lot different from other elections because we are in a pandemic. This has led many people to decide to get mail-in ballots, as we are starting to see a record number of people voting by mail, which is something that we have never seen before in this country. These ballots may come in on November 3rd, November 4th, November 10th. We are not really 100% sure. What could happen is that election day becomes election week, and we have 3 or more days of counting ballots over and over and over again. This means that on election night, we might not have a clear idea on who the winner is, or it may look like someone won, but we find out later that it was wrong. This is what some experts are calling the red mirage. Now, a red mirage can cause chaos on election day, as according to the data, more Democrats are going to vote by mail and more Republicans are going to vote in person at the polls. Now, voting in person can be counted a lot faster than the mail-in ballots, so there's a possibility that the electoral map could look very, very red on election night. Now, if this map is true, this would be a huge landslide for the president. This map is one that Axios says could happen. As they write, Trump could hold a projected lead of 408 to 130 electoral votes on election night, if only 15% of the vote-by-mail ballots have been counted. They continue by saying that once 75% of the mail-in ballots were counted, perhaps 4 days later, the lead could flip in Biden's favor. Now, this could cause some confusion for Trump and his supporters, as in the end, Axios predicts that the final result will look like a 334 to 204 victory for Joe Biden. This can also cause a lot of fighting, as well as there will be a high probability that if Trump is up 408 to 130, that he will write on Twitter that he won. And it would seem crazy that somehow Donald Trump lost 300 points in the Electoral College. It will seem almost impossible to lose that many points, because it's so many. It would make sense if he lost 1 state or 2 states, but losing at least 5 states would just seem absolutely crazy. Now, while I do believe that something like a red mirage could happen in states that are more closer, like Nevada, Minnesota, and Pennsylvania, I don't believe that it will happen on the scale that Axios is portraying. As when you look at the 408 to 130 map, you can see that they predict that very left-leaning states like New Jersey, Vermont, which is home to Bernie Sanders, New Mexico, and Maryland are all in Trump's category. Now, there's no data that shows that these states will be even close, and actually the reverse is true, and the data has shown that these states will more than likely go to Joe Biden. I understand what they're trying to say, but Trump having a 408 to 130 point lead would definitely make me feel very suspicious, and actually make me question the election. So with all that, we understand that mail-in ballots could cause a lot of problems, but they could cause more problems for Democrats and not for Republicans, as according to The Atlantic, in the 2020 primaries, more than 550,000 mail-in and absentee ballots were disqualified, a much higher number than 4 years ago. We already explained that Democrats are more likely to vote by mail than in person, and this could cause Democrats to lose key voting swing states, like Wisconsin, where more than 23,000 mailed-in ballots were rejected in the presidential primaries. This is also happening in deep blue districts, as 84,000 ballots were denied in New York City during the primary season. This is a very, very big deal for both candidates, but it could increasingly help Trump in those close swing states, as both Democrats and Republicans are scrambling to win these different swing states. This leads to another situation that could happen in this election that I like to call the swing states keep swinging. Now, this portion of the video is going to have a lot of numbers, so make sure you bear with me on this. In every single election we have had, there have been a chance of states swinging from one party to another. We could see this happening in 2020, as many states, according to Politico, have reportedly been very, very close. As of the recording of this episode, which is Thursday, the 29th of October, Donald Trump is trailing Joe Biden in Florida by 1.4 points, Iowa by 1 point, North Carolina by less than a point at 0.7. States like Arizona and Ohio are virtually tied, and states that are more farther away from Trump but he could still win are Pennsylvania, where he is down by 4.3 points, and Nevada, where he is down 4.6. Now, these poll numbers do not look very good for President Trump, and if we have a scenario where all the polls are correct, then we could see that Joe Biden would get a 340 to 198 electoral landslide. However, we know that some of these polls could be wrong, as we definitely learned in 2016. As in 2016, these swing states were actually very, very close. As in Florida, Trump won by 2 points of 49.02 to 47.82. In North Carolina as well, Trump won 49.83 to 46.17. In Pennsylvania, where Trump was not even expected to win, he won by a narrow margin of 48.18 to 47.46. Trump just scraped by in Michigan, winning 47.50 to 47.27. Along with that, there are also other close races, as in Wisconsin, Trump won 47.22 to 46.45. The only issue with this data is that, as of right now, the polling numbers in Michigan and Wisconsin do not look very good. As according to Politico, Trump is down in Michigan by 8 points, and Wisconsin, he is down by 6. Now, because these two states may be out of reach does not mean that Trump's chances of winning are out of reach, as he has tried to expand his electoral map by campaigning in places like Nevada and Minnesota, where in 2016, Donald Trump lost in Nevada 47.92 to 45.50. And so far in the polling, he is down by 4.6. In Minnesota in 2016, Trump lost 46.44 to 44.92. And in the polling data, he is down in Minnesota by 4.7. So Trump could lose Wisconsin and Michigan, but he could also pick up Minnesota and Nevada. This would give him the electoral victory of 296 to 242. Remember, all that he has to do is reach 270. He doesn't have to win the popular vote, which most people are saying that he will not win the popular vote, but more importantly, he will win the Electoral College, which will give him 4 more years in the White House. However, this is not my final prediction, as I do not believe that Donald Trump will win Nevada or Minnesota. I think that it will be very, very close, but I don't think that that will happen. Watch it happen. My opinion is Trump will win all the states that he won in 2016, except it will all come down to Pennsylvania. I think that Donald Trump will lose both Michigan and Wisconsin this time around, which will mean all the stakes are in on Pennsylvania. I think that in Pennsylvania, it will be a very, very tough battle, and whichever candidate wins, that state will win the election. And because of Biden's most recent gaffe on the debate stage, saying that he wants to get rid of the oil industry, this will swing Pennsylvania into Trump's category, which will lead to a Trump victory of 280 to 258, giving Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House. The probability of me being right about this is very, very extremely very low. And we could see a situation where Joe Biden wins just as easily as Donald Trump could win. To me, this map just seems to be more accurate. And it shows that this election could be very, very close. And I don't think that one candidate is going to absolutely landslide over the other candidate. I know that a lot of people like to think that their candidate's going to landslide the other candidate, but to me, you have to look at the numbers. You have to look at the statistics, and I don't see right now a landslide for either candidate. Definitely as much as I would love to see Donald Trump absolutely landslide Joe Biden, I just don't see it as of right now. And I also want to make that point clear as well, that these polls are changing every single day, so something could happen right before Election Day. In the end, I really think that this election could really change America, and it will be very interesting to see how the mail-in ballots will work out, and if that will change the election at all. It will also be very interesting for after the election. If Trump wins, will the left riot? or if Joe Biden wins, will the right riot? This will have to be covered after Election Day. And like I said, we may not even know on Election Day who the winner really is. I'm also excited to see if states like Nevada and Minnesota will flip, padding Trump's lead, or if Trump can pull out a victory in Michigan or Wisconsin. However, my true feeling with this election is that I am very, very nervous, excited, and 100% ready to vote. I wanted to make sure to tell you all that you need to go out and vote as well, as it is a very, very important thing. Along with this, when you are in the voting booth, you can think however you want. No one on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook will know who you are voting for. So vote with your heart and your country in mind. Honestly, I hope you vote for Donald Trump, and that this episode got you excited to vote for Donald Trump. But this is 100% up to you. And if you vote for Joe Biden, that's 100% okay. We need to realize in our country right now that we can come together. And if I vote for Donald Trump and you vote for Joe Biden, that we can still be friends. We can still talk to each other. And that America is more than just political races and presidential candidates. But America are people. They are ideas. And we need to really, really come together. And I believe that we can do that with Donald Trump. So I just want to thank you so much for watching this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.